Pope Leo XIV's stance on women deacons. A shocking revelation or a measured step forward? In a world where the Catholic Church is often seen as an unyielding monolith, whispers of change can ignite fervent speculation. Enter Pope Leo XIV, the first American-born pontiff, whose cryptic remarks on women deacons have sent shockwaves through the faithful. Is he poised to shatter 2,000 years of tradition by opening the diaconate to women, or is this merely a tantalizing tease in a synodal dance? Buckle up as we dive into the labyrinth of theology, history, and Vatican politics to uncover what Pope Leo's stance on women deacons really means, and why it's keeping Catholics on the edge of their pews. The historical backdrop: women deacons in the early Church. To understand the contemporary debate, we must first journey back to the early centuries of Christianity. Historical evidence suggests that women served as deacons in the nascent Church, a role distinct from the modern diaconate, but significant nonetheless. Texts like Romans 16:1 reference Phoebe, a diakonos, Greek for deacon or servant, of the church in Kenchrea, commended by Paul for her service. Early church documents, such as the Didaskalia Apostolorum, 3rd century, describe women deacons assisting with baptisms of women, catechesis, and charitable works, roles necessitated by cultural norms of modesty. Zagano, 2016. However, the role of women deacons waned by the Middle Ages, as the diaconate became a transitional step toward priesthood, which was reserved for men. The Second Vatican Council, 1962 to 1965, restored the permanent diaconate for men, but the question of women remained untouched until recent decades. Scholars like Phyllis Zagano argue that women were sacramentally ordained as deacons in the early Church, a practice never formally banned, fueling calls for its restoration. Zagano, 2016. This historical precedent sets the stage for the current debate, where Pope Leo XIV's position is both a theological and political lightning rod. Pope Leo XIV, a synodal shepherd with a cautious stance. Elected on May 8, 2025, Pope Leo XIV, born Robert Francis Prevost in Chicago, brings a unique blend of American pragmatism, Peruvian pastoral experience, and Vatican insider savvy. A canon lawyer and former bishop of Chiclayo, Peru, Leo is described as a synodal man, committed to dialogue and communal discernment. National Catholic Reporter, 2025. His papacy inherits the legacy of Pope Francis, who stirred the pot by establishing 2 commissions to study women deacons and emphasizing synodality, a process of listening and journeying together. Yet, Leo's public statements on women deacons reveal a cautious, even ambivalent stance. In a 2023 press conference during the Synod on Synodality, then Cardinal Prevost addressed the issue saying, "Clericalizing women doesn't necessarily solve a problem. It might make a new problem." NPR, 2025. He acknowledged the Church's 2,000-year tradition and the ongoing work of 2 Vatican commissions, but warned against equating secular equality, e.g., women as presidents, with ecclesiastical roles. This remark, echoed in multiple outlets, suggests a reluctance to rush into change, tempered by an openness to study, a hallmark of his synodal approach. The New York Times, 2025. The Amazonian Spark, a regional push for women deacons. A pivotal moment in the women deacons debate came with the 2019 Amazon Synod, which highlighted the pastoral needs of remote communities lacking priests. A document published in Spanish in April 2025, discussed in the Amazon region, explicitly called for the diaconal ordination of women alongside the priestly ordination of married men. National Catholic Reporter 2025. This Amazonian Rite proposal emphasized communal ministry teams, including women deacons, to address clericalism and serve marginalized communities. Pope Leo, with his deep ties to Peru, is no stranger to these realities. During his tenure as Bishop of Chiclayo, he supported lay women in social organizations, fostering their leadership in pastoral work. The New York Times, 2025. Yet, his response to the Amazonian proposal remains unclear. As Pope, he faces pressure to address whether such regional experiments could set a precedent for the universal church. The Amazonian call underscores a broader tension. Can the church adapt its structures to meet pastoral needs without fracturing its unity? Voices from the Vatican, Optimism, and Limits. Women who have worked closely with Leo offer a nuanced perspective. Maria Lea Zervino, one of 3 women appointed by Pope Francis to the Dicastery for Bishops in 2022, praises Leo's listening skills and respect for women's opinions. I'm convinced that he doesn't need to learn how to work with women, how to let them speak, to listen to them, to have them participate in decisions. She told the Associated Press, The Washington Post, 2025. Sister Natalie Becquar, a high-ranking Vatican official and synod participant, echoes this optimism, noting Leo's commitment to elevating women's roles in governance. The Independent 2025. However, both women acknowledge limits. Leo has firmly rejected women's ordination to the priesthood, citing apostolic tradition, and his non-committal stance on women deacons suggests a preference for governance roles over ordained ministry. The New York Times, 2025. This aligns with his 2023 comment that perhaps we need to look at a new understanding of leadership, power, authority, and service in the Church. Religion News Service, 2025. For Leo, empowering women may mean expanding lay leadership rather than altering sacramental roles, a position that frustrates advocates like the Women's Ordination Conference, who see it as a half measure. America Magazine, 2024. The theological and cultural battleground, the women deacons debate, is not merely logistical. It's deeply theological and cultural. Theologically, opponents argue that the diaconate is part of holy orders, linked to the priesthood, which Jesus instituted for men. Pope Francis, in a 2023 interview, stated that the diaconate is the first degree of holy orders reserved for men. National Catholic Register, 2024. Leo appears to share this view, cautioning against clericalizing women, which he fears could reinforce hierarchical structures rather than liberate women's gifts. NPR, 2025. Advocates, however, counter that the early church's women deacons were ordained for service, not priesthood, and that restoring this role aligns with the Second Vatican Council's call for a renewed diaconate. Salesian Sister Linda Pocker, who has advised Pope Francis on women's roles, argues that theological justifications for excluding women are weak, rooted in outdated notions of women's incapacity for public roles, USCSCB, 2024. The recent ordination of a woman deaconess in the Greek Orthodox Church in Zimbabwe, on May 2, 2024, adds fuel to the argument, showing that other Christian traditions are revisiting this practice. America Magazine, 2024. Culturally, the debate reflects global diversity. In regions like Africa, where some countries criminalize homosexuality, Leo has emphasized cultural sensitivity in applying church teachings, suggesting a similar approach to women deacons. Time, 2025. In contrast, Western advocates, like the Discerning Deacons group, frame women deacons as a way to unleash the gifts women have to renew the ordained diaconate, without clericalizing them. America Magazine, 2024. Leo's challenge is to navigate these divergent expectations within a synodal framework. The synodality factor, a slow burn toward change. Leo's commitment to synodality, described as moving forward in communion, common life, trust, and dialogue, National Catholic Reporter 2025, shapes his approach to women deacons. The Synod on Synodality, concluding its second assembly in October 2024, did not resolve the issue but called for continued theological reflection, USCCB 2024. A dedicated commission, one of 10 studying contentious topics, is set to report back by July 2025, and its findings will likely influence Leo's decisions. The Washington Post, 2025. This synodal process, while inclusive, frustrates those seeking swift action. The Women's Ordination Conference called Pope Francis's earlier rejection of women deacons a betrayal of the synodal project. America Magazine, 2024. Leo, however, sees synodality as a long-term journey. His experience in Peru, where he fostered collaborative ministry among the poor, suggests he values grassroots input over top-down decrees. Religion News Service 2025. Yet his prudence, described as quiet, private, and serene, may delay definitive action, leaving advocates in limbo. The Independent, 2025. Case studies. Women deacons in context. To ground the debate, consider two contrasting examples. In Chiclayo, Peru, where Leo served as bishop, women often led church communities due to a shortage of priests. Yolanda Diaz, a local teacher, noted that Leo supported women's leadership in social pastoral work, though not in ordained roles. The New York Times, 2025. This pragmatic approach reflects Leo's belief that women can contribute significantly without sacramental ordination. Contrast this with the Orthodox Church in Alexandria, which ordained a woman deaconess in 2024. This move, rooted in historical precedent, has been cited by Catholic advocates as evidence that women deacons are feasible within a sacramental framework. America Magazine, 2024. Leo, aware of these developments, must weigh whether such models could be adapted to Catholicism without alienating traditionalists. The road ahead. Possibilities and pitfalls. What might Pope Leo XIV do next? Several scenarios are plausible. Maintain the status quo. Leo could defer a decision, citing the need for further study. This aligns with his cautious rhetoric and the ongoing commission's work, but risks alienating progressive Catholics. Expand non-ordained roles. Following Francis's lead, Leo could appoint more women to Vatican dicasteries or create new lay ministries, sidestepping the ordination question. This would build on his support for women in governance, but may not satisfy advocates. Regional experimentation. Inspired by the Amazonian proposal, Leo could allow pilot projects for women deacons in specific regions, testing the waters without universal change. This would reflect his synodal ethos, but could spark accusations of inconsistency. Restore women deacons. The boldest move would be to reinstate women deacons as a permanent sacramental role, citing historical precedent. While supported by some theologians, this would face fierce opposition from traditionalists and require a redefinition of the diaconate's link to holy orders. Each path carries risks. Approving women, deacons could fracture the church's unity, as seen in debates over married priests. Conversely, rejecting the proposal outright could alienate younger Catholics, especially in the West, where women's equality is a cultural norm. Leo's challenge is to discern a path that honors tradition, responds to pastoral needs, and preserves communion. Conclusion: a pope at the crossroads. Pope Leo XIV stands at a pivotal moment in the Catholic Church's history. His stance on women deacons, cautious yet open to dialogue, reflects a man steeped in tradition but attuned to the cries of a changing world. From the Amazon's call for inclusive ministry to the historical witness of Phoebe, the case for women deacons is compelling, yet fraught with theological and cultural complexities. As a synodal leader, Leo is unlikely to act hastily, but his decisions will shape the Church for generations. For now, the faithful wait, parsing his every word for clues. Will he be the Pope to restore women to the diaconate, or will he hold the line, prioritizing unity over reform? One thing is certain: in the heart of the Vatican, the question of women deacons is no mere footnote. It's a testament to the Church's ongoing struggle to embody the gospel in a world that demands both fidelity and renewal.